Well, my name is Bob Copper, and one of a big old family that's been in Rottingdean for a long, long time. My son John is still living here with me, and luckily he's inherited the love of these old songs and sings them along with me. And I can't tell you what a great deal of pleasure that gives me. I can remember, going back a bit, when I used to sing with my father, and I remember Grandad singing, although I wasn't old enough at the time to sing with him. And Ron, my cousin, I remember it's a number of years ago now, well over 20 years ago, when he and I were the young boys in the family, able to sing, able and willing to sing these songs. And I remember awfully well when we got together, shook hands and said that we wouldn't be the weak links in the chain. Daughter Jill, she also comes along and joins in with us. But it's a great thrill to me, as I'm getting a little bit older, you've got to face these things, that somebody in the family of a younger, new generation is coming along with a true love of these songs, and we know that the songs will be kept on and kept going.
Dame Durden kept 5 servant maids to carry the milk in pail. She also kept 5 labouring men to use the spade and flail. It was Moll and Bet and Doll and Kit and Dolly to drag her tail. It was Tom and Dick and Joe and Jack and Humphrey with his flail. Then Tom kissed Molly and Dick kissed Betty and Joe kissed Dolly and Jack kissed Kitty and Humphrey with his flail. And Kitty, she was the charming girl to carry the milking pail. Dame Durden in the morn so soon she did begin to call. To rouse her servants, maids and men she did begin to bawl. It was Moll and Bet and Doll and Kit and Dolly to drag her tail. It was Tom and Dick and Joe and Jack and Humphrey with his flail. Then Tom kissed Molly and Dick kissed Betty and Joe kissed Dolly and Jack kissed Kitty and Humphrey with his flail. And Kitty, she was the charming girl to carry the milking pail. It was on the morn of Valentine when birds began to prate. Dame Durden and her maids and men, they all together meet. There was Moll and Bet and Doll and Kit and Jolly to drag her tail. There was Tom and Dick and Joe and Jack and Humphrey with his flail. Then Tom kissed Molly and Dick kissed Betty and Joe kissed Dolly and Jack kissed Kitty and Humphrey with his flail. And Kitty, she was the charming girl to carry the milking pail.
Rottingdean in Sussex is right on the edge of the White Chalk Cliff, roughly between Brighton and Eastbourne. And it was until, say, 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, a little old village, a farming village chiefly, with a little bit of longshoreman work off in the way of lobsters and a bit of fishing. But the main industry in the village was farming. One of the favourite nights for a good old jug up and a sing-song was what they used to call Tater beer night. In those days, the farmhands didn't have Saturday afternoon off, not in the usual course of events, but on a chosen Saturday, usually about the 2nd or 3rd week in April, all work would stop at 1 o'clock, and that left the afternoon clear for the men to get their seed potatoes in the ground. Every year the farmer used to set aside a certain piece of ground for this purpose. Each man was allowed 8 rod of ground, each boy 4 rod. And like that they'd have enough potatoes to keep them going through all the winter. And on that afternoon he used to allow them the use of the horses and tip carts and ploughs so they could turn the ground over and get the taters in the ground. And that was always called, natural enough, spud planting Saturday. Well, in the evening, they all used to foregather down at the Black Horse in the High Street, where old Tommy Copper, who was my grandfather's brother, was landlord. He knew all about Tater Beer night because he'd been a carter in his younger days, and he used to enter right in the spirit of the thing. He used to put an enamel bowl on the counter so that every man, as he come in through the door, would throw a penny in the bowl for every rod of ground he planted that afternoon with potatoes. So in that way, a man, say, got two working boys living at home, would have to put in 1 and 4pence. That was 8pence for his own ground and 4pence for each of his boys. And like that, of course, there was soon enough money in the bowl to pay over the counter to get the old beer jugs going round. And then when the beer jugs started going round, it wasn't long before they started singing. Of course, being spring of the year, there was plenty to choose from in that manner. Old week before Easter, and spring comes in, and so on. There was bags of songs went round all the time.
One May morning I chanced for to roam, and strolled through the fields by the side of the grove. It was there I did hear the harmless bird sing, and you never heard so sweet.
You never heard so sweet.
You never heard so sweet as the birds in the spring. At the end of the grove I sat myself down, and the song of the nightingale echoed all round. Their song was so charming, their notes were so clear. No music, no songster.
No music, no songster.
No music, no songster can with them compare. All you that come here, the small birds to hear, I'll have you pay attention, so pray all draw near. And when you're growing old, you will have this to say, that you never heard so sweet.
You never heard so sweet.
You never heard so sweet as the birds on the spray.
Uncle Tom used to put a pint pot full of new clay pipes up for every man to help himself to. All shapes and sizes they were. And of course they soon disappeared. It didn't take long to get rid of them. And then the thing was trying to catch some backer to put in it. But then he used to make another offer of a pint of beer for the man that could sing the first song. And my old dad used to do his best to get in quick with all you boys that go a-courting. And that was the shortest song he knew. And he'd worked up a terrific speed in the chorus. I wish I could sing it as fast as that.
All you boys that go a-courting, mind which way you choose a wife. If you marry my wife's sister, you'll have a beggar for the rest of your life. 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9, 19, 17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. That's all. These words were composed by Spencer the Rover, who had travelled Great Britain and most parts of Wales. He had been so reduced,
Which caused great confusion,
and that was the reason he went on the roam. In Yorkshire near Rotherham he had been on his rambles. Being weary of travelling, he sat down to rest. At the foot of yonder mountain
there runs a clear fountain.
with bread and cold water he himself did refresh. It tasted more such a stranger once more in their sight. His children came around him with their prittle prattling stories, with their prittle prattling stories to drive care away. Now they are united
like birds of one feather,
like bees in one hive, contented they'll be. So now he is a-living in his cottage contented, with woodbine and roses growing all around the door. He's as happy as those that's
got thousands of riches,
contented he'll stay and go a-rambling no more.
We tried Charming Molly. This was old Uncle Tom, or my great Uncle Tom's favourite song. This is typical of old Tommy's songs, really. A little whimsical, a little light, and I wish I could sing them like he used to.
Charming Molly, fair and brisk and gay, like nightingales in May. All round her eyelids young cupids play. She has eyes so bright they shine, black as any berry, cheeks like any cherry. Charming Molly with the sparkling eye. See how the swain do admire and desire a pretty little girl. To hold her hand it burns like sparkling fire. In her face these things are seen, violets, roses, lilies, daffodils. Charming Molly, she is all divine. Sure lie there's no one loves a pretty woman if she be not common, oh. Sure lie such beauty most men admire. Sure lie there's no one can them despise, because they are so pretty and they talk so witty. Charming Molly with the sparkling eyes. Sweep, chimney, sweep, is the common cry I keep, if you can but rightly understand me. Sweep, chimney, sweep, is the common cry I keep, if you can but rightly understand me. With my brush broom and my rake,
with my brush broom and my rake,
see what clean lie work I make. With my hoe, 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 and my hoe, and it sweep, chimney sweep for me. Girls came unto the door, I looked as black as any more. I'm as constant and true as the day. Girls came unto the door, I looked as black as any more. I'm as constant and true as the day. Although my face is black,
although my face is black,
I can give as good a smack. And there's no one, no one, no one, there's no one, then there's no one shall call me on harp. Girls came unto the door, I look as black as any more. Go and fetch me some beer that I might swallow. Girls came unto the door, I looked as black as any more. Go and fetch me some beer that I might swallow. I can climb up to the top.
I can climb up to the top
Without a ladder or a rope. And it's there you, there you, there you, and there you. And it's there you will hear me hollow. Now here I do stand with my hoe all in my hand, like a soldier that's on the century. Now here I do stand with my hoe all in my hand, like a soldier that's on the century. I will work for a better sort.
I will work for a better sort,
and kindly thank them for it. I will work, 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 and I'll work, and I'll work for none but gentry.
Yeah, well, Tater beer was the first of these celebrations, really, in the spring of the year. Rottingdean, of course, was a busy village. It was a big farm. I mean, they employed over 60 men, that's the thing. So naturally you got more support and it was more vigorous, than it would have been in a tinier village. Well, the old bar beat chock-a-block. You could have cut the air with a knife, what with black shag tobacco and language. But, you had to jostle your way up to the counter. I dare say 40 or 50 people there. I must say, it was nice. You had a job to fall over. Didn't matter how much beer you had, Oh yeah, it was a very friendly evening. It's what they call a get-together. You couldn't get away from anybody.
the pleasant month of May in the springtime of the year. And down by yonder meadow there runs a river clear. See how the little fishes, how they do sport and play, causing many a lad and many a lass to go there a-making hay. Then in comes the scytheman the meadow to mow down, with his old leatherhead bottle and the ale that runs so brown. There's many a stout and a labouring man goes there his skill to try. He works, he mows, he sweats and blows, and the grass cuts very dry. Then in comes both Tom and Dick with their pitchforks and their rakes, and likewise black-eyed Susan the hay all for to make. There's a sweet, 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 and a jug, 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 how the harmless birds do sing, from the morning till the evening as we were a-hay-making. It was just at one evening as the sun was going down, we saw the jolly piper come a-strolling through the town. There he pulled out his tabor and pipes, and he made the valleys ring. So we all put down our rakes and forks and left off hay-making. We call it for a dance, and we tripped it along. We danced all round the haycocks till the rising of the sun. When the sun did shine such a glorious light, and the harmless birds did sing, each laddie took his lass in hand and went back to his hay-making.
I remember the potato ground and still planted the potatoes, but there wasn't a celebration in the evening, not the same, not when I was a kid. All this information I got from Dad. He gave me all the details. We still carried on singing. As far as that goes, we used to sing pretty well every Saturday evening down there, down the Black Horse. That was still the favourite place for a song. But they dropped these particular occasions. I used to go in there before I was the right age, actually. Very often I used to open the bottle and jug door and see old Ernie Tellick, who was the landlord at that time. And I'd say, "Is Dad there, Ernie?" He'd say, "Just a minute, boy." And he'd have a look round. He'd say, "No, it's all right, you can come in." But I used to nip in the bottle and jug for a crafty pint. And then, of course, very often somebody'd see me through, Say, "Who's that young copper around there, isn't it? Come round here, boy, and give us a song," because the family were always known for singing, you see, in the village. And so I'd go round and one of them would start, of singing, me to join in. And always get a free pint that way. That's how I started making sure of the words, because often I used to get stuck for words, as I still do now. But they, when I used to get stuck, I used to think, well, next Saturday evening I'll have that one. So on the Sunday morning, when we were out chopping wood and that, and doing Sunday morning jobs in the wood house, I'd start singing, because I knew Dad had joined in straight away. He was glad I was singing. And I'd start singing a verse, and then he'd carry right the way through it, and I was listening with one ear, picking the words up for next Saturday, you see, because I knew it meant free pint.
When spring comes on, the birds do sing, the lambs do skip, and the bells do ring, while we enjoy their glorious charm, so noble and so gay. The primrose blooms, and the cows slip too, the violets in their sweet retire, the roses shining through the briar, and the daffodils which we admire will die and fade away. Young men and maidens will be seen love and sport and play, while these young lambs do skip away. At night they homeward wend their way, when evening stars appear. The primrose blooms, and the cow slips too. The violets in their sweet retire, the roses shining through the briar, and the daffodils which we admire will die and fade away. The dairy maid to milking goes, her blooming cheeks as red as a rose. She carries her pail all on her own, so cheerful and so gay. She milks, she sings, and the valleys ring. The small birds on the branches there sit listening to this love-light fare. She is her master's trust and care. She is the ploughman's joy. The primrose blooms, and the cow slips too. The violets in their sweet retire, the roses shining through the briar, and the daffodils which we admire will die and fade away.
We were very fond of When Spring Comes On, of course. It was a good old one again for a spring song. Very suitable to the occasion. The subject was right, and we used to lather into it. Although we weren't all fussy about. We used to sing it other times of the year, the same with any of the rest of them as far as that goes. I think we used to automatically think of a song like that at that season. But if you thought of it any other time, there was no reason why you shouldn't sing it. It was a damn good song, and a damn good song only needs one thing, that is to be sung.
One morning in the month of May, as from my cot I strayed, just at the dawning of the day I met with a charming maid. Just at the dawning of the day I met with a charming maid. Good morning, fair maid, fair weather, said I, and early tell me now. The maid replied, kind sir, she said, I've lost my spotted cow. The maid replied, kind sir, she said, I've lost my spotted cow. No longer weep, no longer mourn, your cow is not lost, my dear. I saw her down in yonder grove, come love and I'll show you where. I saw her down in yonder grove, come love and I'll show you where. Then in the grove we spent our time, and thought it passed too soon. At night we homeward made our way, when brightly shone the moon. At night we homeward made our way, when brightly shone the moon. Next day we went to view the plough, across the flowery dale. We loved and kissed each other there, and love was all our tale. We loved and kissed each other there, and love was all our tale. If I should cross the flowery dale, all for to view the plough, she comes, she calls me, gentle swain, I found my spotted cow. She comes, she calls me, gentle swain, I found my spotted cow.
I think there's a sort of a noticeable lack of risque songs in our collection. The reason for that being, I've gone into this as closely as I can, that although Grandad would sing the naughty ones down in the pub when he sang down there, he was under a pretty big thumb control from Granny. She was very straight-laced and Puritan, and charming and lovely, but she wouldn't allow anything that was the slightest bit naughty to be allowed and sung in the cottage. And so those have been bowdrised out. We haven't got them anymore.
Once I courted a pretty girl, I courted her quite well. Her name was Kitty Marigamara and mine was Bobby Wells. As I was courting her one night, when her father was at home, he said if he caught me there again, he'd tickle my bottom with my Wop She added. I tell you I added a Wop She added oh. Oh, Wop She added, I tell you I had it. Oh, Wop She added oh. Now Kit and I, we did agree a ladder for to bring. We placed it under the window and by gum it was just the thing. We laughed and chatted and talked when all at once by gum my foot slipped through the ladder and I fell and cut my bottom with my Wop She added. I tell you I added a Wop She added I oh. Wop She added, I tell you I had it. Oh, Wop She added oh. They wheeled me home in a wheelbarrow, they wheeled me home with care. And when I got to the farmyard gate, oh, didn't the old folks stare. My brother Joe came running out and said, what have you done? I've been a-courting Kit, said I, and fell and cut my bottom with my Wop She added. I tell you I added a Wop She added I oh. Wop She added, I tell you I had it. Oh, Wop She added I oh. They took me to the doctors, and there I showed me case. And didn't they do a grin when I showed 'em my Sunday face? They thought I was making a fool of them, but a fool of them by gum. I thought they was making a fool of me when they turpentined me bum with me Wop She added. I tell you I added a Wop She added I oh. Oh, Wop She added, I tell you I had it. Oh, Wop She added oh. Now Kit and I, we did agree for to get wed. She made me a sling to put me bum in, and through it I cocked me leg. As we was walking down the street, the kids did shout by gum, here comes the man with his bum in a sling that fell and got his bottom with my Wop She added. I tell you I added a Wop She added I oh. Oh, Wop She added, I tell you I had it. Oh, Wop She added oh.
Poor Uncle Jim, if he thought he was doing this on, putting this on tape, he'd go balmy. He never realised it, I bet.
What's that?
Your old dad, he never thought this was ever going in the book, would he? Eh?
Well, he put it in the book.
Yeah, in the book, yeah, but that was only for messing about at parties and whatnot. I mean, this was never.
Now a week before Easter, the morn bright and clear, the sun it shone brightly and keen blew the air. I went up in the forest to gather fine flowers, but the forest won't yield me no roses. The roses are red, the leaves they are green, the bushes and briars are a pleasure to be seen. Where the small birds are singing and changing their notes, down among the wild beasts in the forest. Now the first time I saw my love, she was dressed all in white, made my eyes run and water, quite dazzled my sight. When I thought to myself that I might have been that man, but she's left me and gone with some other. For the next time I saw my love, she was in the church stand, with a ring on her finger and a glove on her hand. So now she's gone from me and showed me false play. She is gone and got tied to some other. So dig me a grave, both long, wide, and deep, and strew it all over with roses so sweet, that I might night lay down there and take a long sleep, and that's the right way to forget her.
Week Before Easter is a very lovely song, of course. It was always sung, a favourite one at Tater at night, this was, because it was the time of year, spring of the year, and I can tell you something very much about Week Before Easter, because we were due to go to Cecil Sharp House on the 12th of May, 1952, I think it was, and that's the four of us. That's Dad, Uncle John, and Ron and myself. And on the very morning, it was a Monday, remember very well, on the very morning, Uncle John collapsed and died. So I immediately rang up Cecil Sharp House and told them the sad news, and said it would be quite impossible for us to go along, obviously, in the circumstances. We were all deeply shocked. But they prevailed upon me to go along and make a personal appearance to apologise in person. I said, well, fair enough, I'll come along. So I did, went up there, and they played quite a few of the records of ours at the concert, and because it was too late, you see, to postpone the concert. That was the point. I must say, people were coming, it was only in the morning, it just... So one or two other people sang our songs, Rottingdean songs, copper songs. And just before I finished, the chairman prevailed upon me to sing just one song. Well, by that time I was feeling a little bit more relaxed, and I said, well, fair enough, as you've all been so kind. And right out of the blue, I just said I'll sing the solo that Uncle John would have sung if he'd been here tonight. We got John to sing down to sing A Week Before Easter as a solo. And I sang it, and of course when I came to the last verse, I think I don't think I've ever had such a test in my life to be standing up there unaccompanied and singing a song, so dig me a grave both long, wide and deep, and strew it all over with roses so sweet. I kept going, but that was the biggest test I've ever had in my life, and I don't want to ever go through that again. When we went to his funeral in the village churchyard 2 or 3 days later, really because of that, instead of sending a wreath, I took a simple bunch of roses and held it until we filed past and threw it on his coffin.
It's of a brisk and lively lad come out of Gloucestershire, and all his full intention was to court some lady fair. Her eyes shone bright like the morning dew that doth on the lily lie. She was grace all in her face and mixed with modest eye. As these two lovers were walking, they knew each other well, when someone heard them talking and did her father tell. And when he came for to hear the same and to understand the thing, then said he, 'Twill never be, I will part them in the spring. It was in the springtime of the year there was a press begun, and all their full intention was to press that farmer's son. 'Twas to press him and to send him far over the raging sea, where I'm sure he will no more keep my daughter's company. On the 21st of August there was a fight begun, and foremost in the battle did they place this farmer's son. There he received a dreadful wound in the hollow of the thigh. Every vein was filled with pain, he got wounded dreadfully. She went straight to the captain captain as captain's handy mate. And everything he said to her she agreed to undertake. So tenderly she dressed his wounds, which so bitterly did smart. Then said he, "Oh, one like thee once was mistress of my heart." She went straight to the commander and offered very fair, 40 or 50 guineas shall buy my love quite clear. No money shall be wanted, no longer tarry here. Since 'tis so, pray let us go to old England, we will steer. She went up to her father's gate and stood there for a while. He said, "Lord of heaven, bless me, there's my dear and only child." She said, "Father, I have found him and brought him safe on shore. We will spend our day in England, never roam abroad no more." Come all my jolly boys, and we'll together go, together with our masters to shear the lambs and ewes, all in the month of June. Of all times in the year, it always comes in season, the lambs and ewes to shear. And then we will work hard, my boys, until our backs do break. Our master, he will bring us beer whenever we do lack. Our master, he comes round to see our works done well. And he says, "Shear them close, my boys, for there is but little wool." "Oh yes, good master," we reply, "we'll do well as we can." Our captain cries, "Shear close, my lads, to each and every man." And at some places still we have this story all day long. Bend your backs and shear them well, and this is all their song. And then our noble captain doth to the master say, "Come, let us have one bucket of your good ale, I pray." He turns unto our captain and makes him this reply, "You shall have the best of beer, I promise presently." And with the foaming bucket pretty Betsy she doth come, and master says, "Maid, mind and see that every man has some." This is some of our pastime while we the sheep do shear. And though we are such merry boys, we work hard, I declare. And when 'tis night and we are done, our master is more free, and stores us well with good strong beer and pipes of tobacco. And there we sit a-drinking, we smoke and sing and roar, till we become far merrier than e'er we were before. When all our work is done, and all the sheep are shorn, then home with our captain to drink the ale that's strong. It's a barrel then of humcap, which we will call black ram, and we do sit and swagger, and we swear that we are men. And yet before the night is through, I'll bet you £50 that if you had a special care, that ram will knock you down.
Rottingdean was right in the heart of the South Down sheep country. Being sheep country all round here, of course it was a very busy time when sheep shearing came round. Thousands and thousands of head of sheep had to be sheared. And such a big job, in fact, it had to be a job for the experts to do, and they used to get together and form a sheep shearing crew, which consisted of a captain who wore 2 stars on his cap band, and a lieutenant. He only had 1. Then there were 12 or 14 men to do the shearing, and a wool winder who spent his time winding the wool, winding the fleeces up, and a tar boy who had to go around and dab tar on the little nicks and cuts, which stopped the bleeding and keep the old fly from getting in. When the time came round, the crew used to meet the night before they start shearing in the pub they'd chosen as their headquarters, and they used to call this White Ram Night. Wasn't a very exciting night. Nobody was very interested, really. They used to sort out and pick the shears they wanted to buy, which would be in a corner of the room, and the captain, he'd read out the list of farms they got to visit, the number of sheep in each flock, and so on. Nobody took a lot of notice. A rigmarole, as the old man used to call it. But next morning, of course, off they go and start to work in earnest. And it was hard work. Long sweating days in the shear barn, and then sleep rough at night, sleeping on a pile of clean straw in the corner. Just pull a corn sack up over their legs, and that's the way they used to exist, and walk on from farm to farm. While they were going round on their shearing, they had a system of fines for various things, or misdemeanours. If a man left a bit of wool unshorn the size of a shilling on a sheep's back, and he's supposed to have done his job, he'd be fined a 6pence. If he let a sheep go in the barn and he got away from him while he was shearing, he'd be fined a shilling, and so on. These fines were noted down in the captain's book and deducted at the end of the night. Then the money went towards beer on the sheep shearing supper, which was held on the Saturday after the shearing was all over. Now that was called Black Ram Night, and my goodness, that was a very different thing from White Ram Night. They were all interested then, all right, because for one thing, the captain paid out the money after deducting the fines, and then paid the fines over the counter against the food and drink for the evening. There'd be plenty to drink, of course, and the big round of salt beef, ham, bread and cheese and pickles, there'd be everything, plenty of food and plenty of good old drink. And, well, there you are. With all that good company, what else would anybody want to do but sing? There was songs nearly all night.
Here's adieu, sweet lovely Nancy, 10,000 times adieu. I'm a-going around the ocean, love, to seek for something new. Come change your ring with me, dear girl, come change your ring with me. For it might be a token of true love while I am on the sea. When I am far upon the sea, you know not where I am. Kind letters I will write to you from every foreign land. The secrets of your heart, dear girl, are the best of my goodwill. So let your body be where it might, my heart shall be with you still. There's a heavy storm arising, see how it gathers round, while we poor souls on the ocean wide are fighting for the crown. There is nothing to protect us, love, or to keep us from the cold. On the ocean wide where we must bide like jolly seamen bold. There is tinkers, tailors, and shoemakers lie snoring fast asleep, while we poor souls on the ocean wide are ploughing through the deep. Our officers commanding us, and them we must obey. expecting every moment for to get cast away. But when the wars are all over, there'll be peace on every shore. We'll return to our wives and our families and the girls that we adore. We will call for liquor merrily, we will spend our money free. And when our money it is all gone, we will boldly go to sea. 'Twas on one summer's evening, all in the month of May, down by a flowery garden where Betsy did stray, I overheard a damsel in sorrow to complain, oh, for her absent lover that ploughed the raging main. I stepped up to this fair maid and put her in surprise. She owned she did not know me, I being all in disguise. I said, my charming creature, my joy and heart's delight, how far have you to travel this dark and rainy night? Away, kind sir, to the Claudy Banks, if you will please to show pity a poor girl distracted, for there I have to go. I am in search of a young man, and Johnny is his name, and on the banks of Claudy I'm told he does remain. If Johnny, he was here this night, he would keep me from all harm. He's a cruise in the wide ocean, in tempest and in storm. He's a cruise in the wide ocean, for honour and for gain. But I'm told that his ship got wrecked all on the coast of Spain. When Betsy heard this dreadful news, she fell into despair, in the wringing of her hands and the tearing of her hair. Since Johnny has gone and left me, no man on earth I'll take. Down in some lonesome valley I'll wander for his sake. Young Johnny, hearing her say so, he could no longer stand. He fell into her arms, crying, Betsy, I'm that man. I am that faithful young man, and whom you thought was slain. And since we met on Claudy Banks, we'll never part again.
It was an unforgettable experience, really, in lots of ways. When in a crowded bar, where somebody would call for a bit of a hush, and up against some old fella bent nearly double with years of working out in rough weather and that sort of thing, take a dirty old clay pipe out of his mouth, got a hand like a clump of blackthorn, spit over towards a spittoon, and you'd think what a terrible looking old fella he was. And he'd sing a song like Sweet Lemeney, as sweet and as true and as pure, and something so sweet coming out of something so rough and dirty used to strike me tremendously, make a big impression. Amazing thing.
As I was a-walking one fine summer's morning, the field
It was very hard work, rough work, and they used to sleep rough at night on a bundle of straw up in the corner of the barn where they'd been shearing all day. But there was, usually a bit of fun going on. Always a barrel of beer stolaged up in the corner of the barn to keep their spirits up, and they made plenty of fun between them. They had a rather novel way of choosing who should go and draw the beer for the rest of the men when they were sitting around in a circle on the barn floor eating their meals. They had a rhyme, rather like the sort of rhyme, the eliminating rhymes that children have in their games. And this is the way they went about it. Suddenly one of the fellows would throw his legs right back over his head until his toe caps touched the ground behind, and he'd chant the first line of the rhyme. Then the man on his left would chant the second line and do likewise with his legs, the third one, so on, and the fourth one, it was the last line of the rhyme, he did it, and then he had to get up and go and draw the beer and pour it in everybody else's mugs. And this was the rhyme they used. Here goes old Adams's bells, here goes old Timothy Tough. Oh, can you see my ass? Oh, yes, quite plain enough. And the poor fellow that said that, he had to get up and go and get the beer. Oh, they always had good high spirits. They didn't get despondent about hard work. They could work hard and play hard too. And the last day of shearing, of course, was a rather exciting day. Because remember, these were young, lusty young fellas, worked like hell, strong young fellas and full of fun. And they used to have all sorts of fun on the last day. The captain was very often old Tommy Copper, who later took the pub when Dad was a young fella. He was one of the most renowned sheep shearing captains they'd had. They still talk about him. They're still talking about him now. And he was a good old captain. He liked to see his men work. He liked to see them enjoy themselves. And he'd send the Ploughboy down to the village, down to Rottingdean, to get a bottle of gin to put in the barrel of beer, just to finish her up. And now Dad used to say that used to make her run, a bit thickish boy, but we didn't mind that. I guess they used to say, Ploughboy, come here, boy. And as you went, they got a old yo still with a bit of milk in it, They'd squeeze her tit and squeeze it all up in your face as you went there, But, and then of course, I say on the last day, then they'd have a few gins in their beers, and they would get on. Of course, they'd got much to do. It's a matter of finishing up. And then, of course, they'd go across and they'd try and push a bloke arse over head. Well, then, of course, he'd probably let his sheep go and call him something worse than a liar. That meant another couple of bob in the fine book, you see. And they used to do it purposely to get the fines up. Oh, yeah, they did work hard, but they played hard as well. Sometimes, looking back, I think there's something to be envied in lots of ways. They led very full lives compared with us. Very full.
Corduroy.
Right, tiddy vallo, fallo, fallo, right, tiddy vallo, fallay, right, tiddy vallo, fallo, fallo, right, tiddy vallo, fallay. My father was fond of lush, and he emptied many a butt, and for to get to suit the togs we had to stinge our guts. Of times me mother and I dined off a Savoy to save up the brads to buy me a suit of corduroy. Right, tiddy fallo, 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 right, tiddy fallo, fallay, right, tiddy fallo, 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 right, tiddy fallo, fallay. When father came home at night and drunk, we used him rob, and after the course of a week or two we'd saved up 7 bob. One day my mother did say, come along with me, my boy, we will go to Moses and Sons for a suit of corduroy. Right, tiddy fallo, 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 right, tiddy fallo, fallay, right, tiddy fallo, 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 right, tiddy fallo, fallay. We soon picked out a suit, the best that we could find. They fitted me very well in front, but rather loose behind. That's no fault, said the man, for he's a growing boy, and I warrant that his backside it will grow to the corduroy. Right, tiddy fallo, 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 right, tiddy fallo, fallay, right, tiddy fallo, 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 right, tiddy fallo, fallay. we quickly fitted them on, and my mother she painted the blunt. There was 2 pockets at the side and a little hole in front. As we was walking along, all the people they did cry, how very nice he looks in his suit of corduroy. Right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow, right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow. My mother she used to scold because I had so many faults, and feeling rather queer one day she gave me a dose of salts. Soon after I was taken short, and the buttons did so annoy, and before I could get my trousers down, I'd my corduroy. Right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow, right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow. When I was out to play one day, my pal said to me, Jim, let's go to Battersea Park and there we'll have a swim. As we were swimming about, me and this other boy, some covey hooked it off with my suit of corduroy. Right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow, right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow. Now as naked as I was born, I was taken home in a cart, and when my mother heard the news, she nearly broke her heart. She said, you cooked my goose, you very naughty boy. I shall never forget the day when you lost your corduroy. Right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow, right titty fallow, 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 right titty fallow, fallow.
Now, salt was working again, John, eh?
Yeah, the bonus.
Well, it's not worth paying the man for one hard beer.
Come all you bold Britons, wherever that you dwell, come listen unto me, while a story I will tell. Great crops of corn our Lord does send, where there is one farm there might be 10, and then more cows there might be kept in old England. Come all you bold statesmen that are of high renown, before the times get better, rates and taxes must go down. Let every farmer hear my thrive, and to the poor some milk might give. And that's the way we ought to live in old England. Oh, yonder shines Phoebe, see how she shines so clear. She will nobly rise and set, my boys, each day throughout the year. And shiny nights they are so gay, both rents and taxes we must pay, or else find out some better ways in old England. Now some they do say we are made of mortal clay, while others they do say we were born but yesterday. But look into old Adam and Eve, and in the scriptures you will read that we are all one flesh and blood in old England. Come all you bold heroes, and Godspeed the plough. I hope we shall see better times soon in old England now, and in due time when mercy call, all for the riches great and small, that death will come and seize us all in old England. But not yet.
On yonder hill there lives a lady, but her name I do not know. I'll go court her for her beauty, whether she answers yes or no. No, John, no. No, John, no. No, John, no, John, no, John, no. She is a fair and handsome creature, and to woo her I will go. I will ask her if she'll be my true love. Will she answer yes or no? No, John, no. No, John, no. No, John, no, John, no, John, no. If when walking in the garden, plucking flowers are wet with dew, tell me, will you be offended if I walk and talk with you? No, John, no. No, John, no. No, John, no, John, no, John, no. Tell me one thing, tell me truly, tell me why you scorn me so. Tell me why when asked a question that you always answer no. No, John, no. No, John, no. No, John, no, John, no, John, no. My father was a Spanish merchant, and before he went to sea, he told me to be sure and answer no to all you said to me. No, John, no. No, John, no. No, John, no, John, no, John, no. And if when walking in the garden I should ask you to be mine, if I tell you that I love you, would you then my heart decline? No, John, no. No, John, no. No, John, no, John, no, John, no.
I know one way songs used to get in and circulate quite a lot. That was at sheep fairs, and all through these downs, from Eastbourne to Stenning, there were upward of 250,000 sheep at head at one time, I read, and all the old flockmasters farmed the top of the downs. And so therefore there were, all through here, there were Lewis and St John's, Ditchling, Findon, and all the different sheep fairs that went on for sheep sales. And of course you had sheep from all over the country, and the drovers used to come on the old droveways, and because there was no transport in those days, they all had to be driven on by road. So all the shepherds would get together, and they'd see each other regularly at the different fairs, and they'd swap songs, and you'd get songs nipping about all over the place like that, you see. The shepherd's song was one that Uncle John learnt at a sheep fair and brought home. One he'd picked up from a shepherd from another county somewhere and brought home, and said, "Dad, what do you think about this one, old brother?" He was remarkable at picking a song up. He'd only got to hear it, but a couple of times through, and he got it, he captured it. And of course, I think that's what happened a lot. They get the tune, and then a couple of lines would evade them when they got home, and so they put a cover and made up there. You're not going to lose a good song for the sake of a couple of lines of words, so you put your own words in to fit it up to make it good. And that's where you get these variations to a great extent. They didn't trouble to write down, even if they could. In our family, Grandad wrote out about 28 songs, but that was for a specific job requested by the farmer's daughter. She, back in 1922, I think it was, specifically asked him to write the words down because she realised their value. And Dad added to that the rest of the family songs, and some that he'd learnt from people in the village, the old men in the village, putting the number up to around about 60 odd, I think it was. And Dad did that in 1936, and well, he did a very good job. Very good job indeed, because I don't know where I'd be without that book there.
There was a young shepherd attending of his sheep. He's attending of his sheep on a fine summer's day, when a charming young lady by chance should come that way. attendants by their side. So who could be more happy than that shepherd and his bride?
The time passes over more cheerful and gay, since we've learnt a new act to drive sorrows away. Sorrows away.
Sorrows away.
Sorrows away. Since we've learnt a new act to drive sorrows away. Bright Phoebe awakes so high up in the sky, with her red rosy cheeks and her sparkling eye. Sparkling eye.
Sparkling eye.
Sparkling eye. With her red rosy cheeks and her sparkling eye. If you ask for my credit, you'll find I have none. With my bottle and friend, you will find me at home. Find me at home.
Find me at home.
Find me at home. With my bottle and friend, you will find me at home. Although I'm not rich and although I'm not poor, I'm as happy as those that's got thousands or more. Thousands or more.
Thousands or more.
Thousands or more. I'm as happy as those that's got thousands or more. A shepherd of the downs, being weary of his port, he retired to the hills where he used to resort. In want of refreshment, he laid himself down.
He wanted no riches,
nor wealth from the crown. He wanted no riches, nor wealth from the crown. He drank of the cold brook, he ate of the trees. Himself he did enjoy, from all sorrow was free. He valued no girl, be she ever so fair.
no pride or ambition.
He valued no care, no pride or ambition. He valued no care. As he was a-walking one evening so clear, a heavenly sweet voice sounded soft in his ear. He stood like a post, not one step could he move.
He knew not what ailed him,
but thought it was love. He knew not what ailed him, but thought it was love. He She had something amiss and disguised in her face. Disguised in her face, she unto him did say,
How now, Master Shepherd,
how came you this way? How now, Master Shepherd, how came you this way? The shepherd, he replied, and modestly said, I never was surprised before at a maid. When first you beheld me, from sorrow I was free.
but now you have stolen
My poor heart from me. But now you have stolen my poor heart from me. He took her by the hand, and thus he did say, we will get married, pretty Betsy, today. So to church they did go, and were married, we hear.
and now he'll enjoy
Pretty Betsy, his dear, and now he'll enjoy pretty Betsy, his dear. As I walked out one May morning down by a riverside, I gazed all around me, when an Irish gal I spied. So red and rosy were her cheeks, and coal black was her hair, and costly were the robes of gold this Irish girl did wear. Her shoes were made of Spanish leather, all sprinkled o'er with dew. She wrung her hands, she tore her hair, crying, oh, what shall I do? I'm a-going home, I'm a-going home, I'm a-going home, said she. How can I go a-roving and slight my own Johnny? I wish I was a butterfly, I would fly to my love's breast. And if I were a linnet, I would sing my love to rest. And if I was a nightingale, I would sing till the morning clear. I'd sit and sing to you, Polly, for once I loved you, dear. I wish I was a red, red rose that in a garden grew. And if I was that gardener, to my love I would prove true. There is not one month throughout the year what my love I would renew. With flowers 3 I would garnish thee, sweet William, thyme and rue. I wish I was in Dublin town, a-romping on the grass, with a bottle of whiskey in my hand, and on my knee a lass. I would call for liquor merrily, I would spend my money free, with a rant and a roar all along the shore, let the winds blow high or low. Last night as I lay on my bed, so sick and bad was I called for a napkin all around my head to tie. But there's many a man as bad as me, so why should I complain? For love it is a funny thing. Did you ever feel the pain? You seamen bold that plough the ocean, no dangers landsmen never knew. The sun goes down with an equal motion, no tongue can tell what they undergo. In dreadful storm, in dread of battle, there are no back doors to run away, while thundering cannon loudly do rattle. Mark well what happened the other day. A merchant ship a long time had sailed, long time been captive out at sea. The weather proved so uncertain, which brought them to extremity. Nothing on board, poor souls to cherish, nor could step 1 foot on freedom's shore. Poor fellows they were almost starving, there was nothing left but skin and bone. Their cats and dogs, how they did eat them, their hunger been so very severe. Captain and men in one position, captain and men went equal share. But still at last a hitch came on them, a hitch came on them right speedily. Captain and men stood in a totter, casting out lots to know which should die. The lot it fell on one poor sailor, his family being so very great. Those very words did he grieve sorrow, those very words did he regret. I'm willing to die, my brother messmates, if you to the topmast will haste away. Perhaps you might some sail discover, while I unto our dear Lord do pray. Those very words did he grieve sorrow, those very words did he regret. When a merchant ship there came a-sailing, there came a-sailing to their delight. May God protect all jolly sailors who boldly venture on the main, and keep them free from all such trials, never to hear the likes again.
Well, on the last day of harvest, they used to have what they called the Hollerin Pot, or last load. The very last wagon of all would carry only a token load. That's a couple of layers of sheaves on the floor. But it would be decorated up with flags and buntings slung between the corner poles, corn dollies all up the poles and all along the edge, and Grandad would be sitting up on the front there with a corn dolly on his hat and some bunting round his shoulders. And the wagon would be drawn by the 4 best horses picked out of all the teams, and they'd be led by their own particular carters, with a boy sitting astride each of the 3 trace horses. So down they go, rattling, ringing and jingling down the street, right down to the bottom, right down onto the cliff edge in front of the white horse. And then they'd have a good old holler, as they say. Grandad would throw back his head and holler, We've ploughed, we've sowed, we've ripped, we've mowed, we've carried our last load and on overthrowed. Hip, 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 hooray! They'd say the great big Sussex cheer would ring, rattle and ring up that old valley, and everybody would know the harvest was over and all safely got in. Didn't matter about being aren't overthrowed. There might be somebody say, old Fred Packham shot a couple off the side this afternoon, but nobody wouldn't take any notice. They wouldn't hear because they'd all be shouting and cheering so loud. Well, they'd go up the village high street, repeating this procedure at every pub they came to. There was 4 others, so they did very well. Before they got to the pond, they were singing like larks. And they'd make their way up to Challoner's, which was the farmhouse. Well, of course, the farmer had heard all the hullabaloo as they came up the high street, and he'd be there waiting with his wife and family on the doorstep to welcome them in. And they'd give him the good old holler, as they called it, the same old thing. We ploughed, we mowed, and they'd shout enough to frighten the dead. And then after that, they'd put the horses away and adjourn to the cart lodge, where there was 18-gallon beer stolaged up for the fellows to drink, and crates of lemonade and ginger beer for the boys. Grandad would go across and spile the barrel and drive the old tap in, and take the first pot out, clear the tap, take up the first one, look at her, give her a sip. He had to try it first, you see. Cocks and hens upon the midden, he'd say, and by Christ, she's a good un. Drink up, boys. And in they used to get stuck into that and drink that through and sing, and so that's the way they used to see the end of the harvest.
When Adam was first created and Lord of the universe crowned, his happiness was not completed until that a helpmate was found. He had all things in food that were wanting to keep and support him in life. He had horses and foxes for hunting, which some men love more than a wife. He'd a garden so planted by nature, man cannot produce in his life. But yet the all-wise Creator still saw that he wanted a wife. Then Adam he lay in a slumber, and there he lost part of his sight. And when he awoke with a wonder, he beheld his most beautiful bride. In transport he gazed upon her, his happiness now was complete. He praised his beautiful donor, who had thus bestowed him a mate. She was not took out of his head, sir, to reign and to triumph for man. Nor was she took out of his feet, sir, by man to be trampled upon. But she was took out of his side, sir, his equal and partner to be. But as they're united in one, sir, the man is the top of the tree. Then let not the fair be despised by man, as she's part of himself. For woman by Adam was prized more than the whole world full of wealth. Man without woman's a beggar, suppose the whole world he possessed. And the beggar that's got a good woman, with more than the world he is blessed. When Adam was first created and Lord of the universe crowned, his happiness was not completed until that a helpmate was found.
I didn't know that one existed until I came across it in William's Folk Songs of the Upper Thames. I lent the book to Dad, and he went all through, and he picked that one as the one he knew. I'd never heard him sing it, so I got the tune because of that. You know, he sang it, and I said, "Oh, what a lovely tune! Yeah, beautiful." And there John's based us.
A lawyer bold the other day came riding from the city when he beheld a most handsome fair, so charming, sweet and pretty. "Good morning to you, my fair pretty maid, and pray where are you going?" "Down in yonder green meadow, cried she, "my father's there a-mowing." "I'll take you up to London town, and honour you like a lady. Fine dresses and gowns you shall put on, fair ribbons and fine silken laces. Oh, I want none of your London town, or any other such places, nor do I want your fine dresses or gowns, fair ribbons and fine silken laces." And now she is a poor man's wife, and he does dearly love her. She lives a sweet contented life, no lady in town's above her.
Of course, another job we used to do as boys, or girls that used to join in with us at harvest time for an odd penny or two, was what they call standfastin. And we used to stand at the lead horse's head. You had, depending on the steepness of the ground, you either had 2 horses or sometimes 3 horse wagon. Anyway, the standfast kid would stand at the lead horse's head and just lead the teams on from shocks and shocks. You see, the sheaves have been gathered up into what we call round here shocks, called stooks in lots of other parts of the country. All, of course, done away with now since combine harvesters. But you used to run up between the lines of shocks so that the loaders could chuck up to the loader on top of the wagon. Well, then, when he'd done that lot, you'd move up between the next, say there were 3 on each side, up between this lane, between the stooks or shocks, and that was your job to lead the horses along. But before you started, in fairness to the fellow on top, or the 2 loaders on top of the wagon, you'd holler out, "Stand fast!" And they stood fast so they wouldn't fall off. And then you moved on. And that was called standfasting. And, we used to get the odd penny for that, you know, and rush up after school. Of course, a lot of the harvest was in school holidays anyway. So we used to do quite a bit of that. One of the other kids' jobs on the farm.
You gentlemen of high renown, come listen unto me, that take delight in fox and hounds of every high degree. A story true to you I'll tell,
Concerning of a fox
in Oxford town, in Oxfordshire, there live some mighty hounds. Bold Reynard being all in his den, and standing on the ground. Bold Reynard being all in his den, and hearing of those hounds, I think I hear some joyful sounds,
thinking for me to kill.
but before they'll catch me by my brush, I'll climb those mighty hills. Bold Reynard cocked up his head, and up that hill he went. Bold Reynard cocked out his brush, and he left a gallant scent. Your hounds are staunch, I know them well.
They drive me like the wind.
I will step so lightly on the ground, I'll leave no scent behind. We drove Bold Reynard 5 hours or more, without a check of speed. We drove bold Reynard 5 hours or more till we came to Oxford Green. There we caught bold Reynard all by his brush,
never to let him go.
he has had so many of our feathered fowls down in the valley below. Our huntsman blows his joyful sound, relope my boys fulfill. He will have no more of our feathered fowls or lambs on yonder hill. Oh, pardon, huntsman, then he cried,
No pardon you shall have.
take off his head, likewise his brush, and give him 3 hoorays.
As I was a-walking down by the seashore, where the wind and the waves and the billows do roar, there I heard a strange voice make a terrible sound. 'Twas the wind and the waves and the echoes all round, crying, oh, my lover's gone. He's a youth I adore, he's gone, and I never shall see him no more. She'd a voice like a nightingale, skin like a dove, and the song that she sang, it was all about love. I asked her to marry me please, and the answer she gave, my love's drowned in the sea, crying, oh, my lover's gone. He's a youth I adore, he's gone, and I never shall see him no more. I told her I'd gold and I'd silver beside, in a coach and 6 horses with me she could ride. No, I never will marry, nor yet make a wife. I'll be constant and true all the time I've got life, crying, oh, my lover's gone. He's a youth I adore, he's gone, and I never shall see him no more. She threw out her arms, and she took a great leap from the cliffs that were high to the billows so deep, crying, the rocks of the ocean shall make me a bed, and the shrimps of the sea shall swim over my head, crying, oh, my lover's gone. He's a youth I adore, he's gone, and I never shall see him no more. And now every night at 6 bells they appear, when the moon it is shining, the sky it is clear. Those 2 constant lovers, with all their young charms, rolling over and over in each other's arms, crying, oh, my lover's gone. He's He's a youth I adore. He's gone, and I never shall see him no more. A jolly young soldier a letter did write to his own dearest jewel, his joy and heart's delight, to tell her of the dangers that he had entered in at the Battle of Alma, where thousands were slain. Our soldiers and sailors were all prepared for war, to fight those lofty Russians where thousands must fall. They were commanded by Lord Raglan, that man of courage bold. They fought them sword in hand, my boys, and forced them to yield. It was the bravest battle that did this world surprise, to see our brave soldiers, to stare them in the face. They marched up to their guns, my boys, and soon they let them know. They showed to them their needlework and forced them to yield. The drums they did beat and the trumpets did sound, while thousands of soldiers lie dead on the ground. There were rifle balls and muskets came a-screeching by their ears, and the bombshells are bursting, and loud cannon roar. And now let us hope that these wars are all o'er, while thousands of soldiers lie bleeding in gore. May the Lord have mercy on them and save their poor souls. May the sweet heavens protect them, and God be their guide.
Come all you warlike seamen that to the seas belong, I'll tell you of a fight, my boys, on board the Nottingham. It was of an Irish captain, his name was Somerville. With courage bold did he control, he played his part so well. 'Twas on the 8th of June, my boys, when at Spithead we lay. On board there came an order, our anchor for to weigh. Bound for the coast of Ireland, our orders did run so. For us to cruise and not refuse against a daring foe. We had not sailed many lengths at sea before a ship we spied. She'd been some lofty Frenchman come a-bearing down so wide. We hailed her off France, my boys, they asked from where we came. Our answer was from Liverpool, and London is our name. Oh, pray, are you some man of war, or pray what may you be? Oh, then replied a captain, and that you soon shall see. Come, strike your English colours, or else you shall bring to. Since you're so stout, you shall give out, or else we will sink you. The first broadside we gave to them, which made them for to wonder. Their mainmast and their rigging came a-rattling down like thunder. We drove them from their quarter, they could no longer stay. Our guns did roar, we made so sure we showed them British play. So now we've took that ship, my boys, Godspeed us fair wind, that we might sail to Plymouth town, if the heavens prove so kind. We'll drink a health unto our captain, and all such warlike souls. To him we'll drink, and never flinch out of a flowing bowl. I am a brisk and bonny lad, and free from care and strife, and sweetly as the hours pass I love a country life. At Thacum Fair I'm often there, midst pleasures to be seen. Though poor I am contented and as happy as a king. I rise up in the morning, my labour to pursue, and with my yoke and milking pails I trudge the morning dew. My cows I milk, and then I taste how sweet the nature yields. The lark she sings to welcome me across the flowery fields. Now in the time of harvest so cheerfully we go, some with hooks and some with crooks and some with scythes to mow. And when the corn is free from harm, we have not far to roam. We'll all away to celebrate the welcome harvest home.
Brisk Bonny Lad, that brings back a lot of memories to me. Two separate lots of different memories. First of all, when we sang at the Albert Hall, that's Dad and Uncle John and Ron and myself. 1950 I was, 1951, I'm not sure which. And that's when I had to get the note from the old tuning fork and sing the first three notes of Memories. Memories. There are notes down there somewhere. And then another memory of this one is it's the very first one that John sang as a little tiny boy. I don't know what he was, about 8 I suppose. I know I've stuck the microphone on the bar counter and he had to stand on a crisp tin to reach it. And that was the one where in the second verse he obviously couldn't read, he wasn't old enough. And with my yoke and milking pails, he would say, with my milk and yoking pails. We had to get round that somehow, and it was a bit difficult. So I drew an egg and said to him, that's the yolk on top of that egg, and you sing that first and you'll be all right. And he did. He got it with my yoke and milking pails first time, and he pushed a bit of paper on one side like a true professional, carried on. And that was the first thing he ever did for the BBC. The Brookside, they call them the Brookside Harriers, were kennelled in Rottingdean for a long time. They would be October, autumn when they start really. And the master of the Harriers was Mr. Stenning Beard, who lived in Down House, one of the big farmers before it was all joined up. And they used to meet all round, of course, but on Boxing Day, that was their big meet locally. They always used to meet on the green outside Down House. But at the meet there, they'd on Boxing morning particularly, I remember Dad's told me, he'd say 11 o'clock sharp on Boxing morning, my old daddy would pour himself a strong hot gin. Then, after he'd finished that, he'd light up a cigar in his meerschaum and amber holder, stick it in his mouth and strut off down to the meet at Down House. Well, then, of course, the stirrup cup would go round, and for the gentlemen on horseback, the gentry as they called them in those days, and beer for all the likely followers. And off they go. Wouldn't come back perhaps to 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. A good old day's hunting. But then on Boxing evening, after the gentlemen had got time to go back into Downhouse to the master's house to have a meal, and then they'd, by invitation, about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, Grandad, Uncle Tom, my great Uncle Tom actually that is, Dad and my real Uncle John would push off down to the Downhouse to go in and sing. And then Standing Beard would come to the door. He'd say, come in, Jim, come in, Jim. He said, come in, let's have a damn good hunting song. So in they'd go, and there'd be the gentlemen all in their hunting pink, all sitting around with their boots on, muddied up, you know. Well, had a lovely meal, a big steaming bowl of punch on the fire, in front of the fire, logs blazing away, and then they'd get rattled into hunting songs and go on to ordinary songs, and they'd be there till 11, 12, you know, of the night. And that was the local Boxing Day hunt in the old days, which was a great enjoyment.
Sportsmen, arouse, the morning is clear, the larks are singing all in the air. Sportsmen, arouse, the morning is clear, the larks are singing all in the air. Go and tell your sweet lover,
The hounds are out.
go and tell your sweet lover, the hounds are out. Saddle your horses, your saddles prepare, we'll away to some cover to seek for a hare. We search the woods, the groves all round, the trial being over, the game it is found. We search the woods, the groves all round, the trial being over, the game it is found. Then off she springs,
Through brake she flies.
then off she springs, through brake she flies. Follow, follow the musical horn, sing, follow, hark forward the innocent hare. Our huntsman blows his joyful sound, tally-ho, my boys, all over the downs. Our huntsman blows his joyful sound, tally-ho, my boys, all over the downs. From the woods to the valleys,
See how she creeps.
from the woods to the valleys, see how she creeps. Follow, follow the musical horn, sing, follow, hark forward the innocent hare. All along the green turf she pants for breath, our huntsman he shouts out for death. All along the green turf she pants for breath, our huntsman he shouts out for death. Relope, relope,
Retiring hare.
relope, relope, retiring hare. Follow, follow the musical horn, sing, follow, hark forward the innocent hare. This hare has led us a noble run, success to sportsmen every one. This hare has led us a noble run, success to sportsmen every one. Such a chase she has led us,
4 hours or more.
such a chase she has led us, 4 hours or more. Wine and beer we'll drink without fear, we'll drink a success to the innocent hare.
Now, Grandad was a very forthright sort of fellow with a very straightforward approach to life. And he didn't believe in doing things by halves. Even if he had anything wrong with him, he used to go to the cupboard that kept the horse medicine in, and if he had a touch of the screws or rheumatics, he used to rub his backside with horse liniment.
And anything inside or internal irregularities, he used to take a horse pill. That's the sort of fella he was. I got his watch and chain upstairs. That weighs best part of 3/4 of a pound. Well, his voice was very deep, very low, and very, very loud. Even in the cottage when he was having a normal conversation, he used to rattle out round there enough to wake the dead. And singing, of course, just the same. When I was a little chap, he might sing you a song just before you went to bed. You'd sit on his old corduroy knee with your pyjamas on, and his idea of a lullaby was something like Admiral Benbow. Well, you take that. What is it? Great Reuben lost his... No, Benbow lost his legs by chain shot, by chain shot. Down on his stumps did fall, and so loud for mercy called. Well, there's a picture for a little fellow to go to bed with. Used to lay up there sometimes, frightened to blow the candle out. Cry himself to sleep sometimes. And that was his idea of a lullaby. Come all you seamen bold, landed here, landed here. It is of an admiral brave called Benbow by his name. How he ploughed the raging main, you shall hear, you shall hear. Last Tuesday morning last, Benbow sailed, Benbow sailed. What a sweet and pleasant gale when Benbow he set sail, and the enemy they turned tail. In a fright, in a fright. Great Reuben and Benbow fought the French, fought the French. See the boats go up and down, and the bullets whizzing round, and the enemy they knocked down. There they lay, there they lay. Then Benbow lost his legs by chain shot, by chain shot. Down on his stumps did fall, and so loud for mercy called. Oh, fight on, my British tars, it is my lot, it is my lot. When the doctor dressed the wound, Benbow cried, Benbow cried, oh, pray pick me up in haste to the quarter-deck my place, that the enemy I might face until I die, until I die. Last Tuesday morning last, Benbow died, Benbow died. What a shocking sight to see as they carried him away. Oh, they carried him to Simpson Church. There he lays, there he lays. 'Twas a cold winter night, and the wind blew bitter across the wild moor. 'Twas there that poor Mary returned with her child, wandering home to her own father's door, crying, Father, I pray let me in. Oh, come down and open the door, or the child that I hold at my bosom will die, as the wind blows across the wild moor. Oh, why did I leave that fair spot, where I was happy and free, forever to roam without friend or a home? Pray, Father, take pity on me. Her father was deaf to the cry, when the sound reached him over the door, and the watchdog he barked at the wind as it blew, cold lie across the wild moor. You can't think what a father he felt when he came to the door in the morn. For Mary, his daughter, lay dead with the child, clasped alive in a dead mother's arms. With vengeance he tore his grey hair, on his Mary he gazed from the door. 'Twas on that cold night that she perished and died, as the wind blows across the wild moor. Her father in grief pined away, and the child to its mother went soon. There's no one alive there to this very day, and the cottage to ruins is gone. The villager points out the cot, where the wild rose droops over the door. 'Twas there Mary died, by the house of her pride, as the wind blows across the wild moor. Old Uncle Tom, that's my great uncle, and grandfather's brother. He used to sing this with a great deal of feeling, and it just shows you how things have changed, because when Dad used to sing it, he couldn't help putting a little bit of, funny. He used to laugh a little bit at it, and we have a job to keep a straight face. That's the way things change. It is of good ale to you I'll sing, and to good ale I'll always cling. I like my mug filled to the brim, and I'll drink all you like to bring. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. It is you that help me with my work, and from a task I'll never shirk, while I can get a good home brew, and better than one pint I likes too. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. I love you in the early morn, I love you in daylight, dark or dawn, and when I'm weary, worn or spent, I turn the tap and ease the vent. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. It is you that makes my friends my foes, it's you that makes me wear old clothes. But since you come so near my nose, it's up you comes and down you goes. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. And if all my friends from Adam's race was to meet me here all in this place, I could part from all without one tear, before I'd part from my good beer. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. And if my wife did me despise, how soon I'd give her two black eyes. But if she loved me like I love thee, what a happy couple we should be. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. You have caused me debts, and I've often swore that I never would drink strong ale no more. But you, for all that, I'll forgive, and I'll drink strong ale just as long as I live. Oh, good ale, you are my darling, you are my joy, both night and morning. Shepherds, arise, be not afraid, with hasty steps prepare to David's city, sin on earth,
With our blessed
with our blessed infant there, with our blessed infant there, with our blessed infant there. Sing, sing all earth, sing, sing all earth, eternal praises sing to our Redeemer, to our Redeemer and our heavenly King. Laid in a manger, viewed a child, humility divine, sweet innocence, sounds meek and mild.
Grace in his
Grace in his features shine, grace in his features shine, grace in his features shine. Sing, sing all earth, sing, sing all earth, eternal praises sing to our Redeemer, to our Redeemer and our heavenly King. For us the Saviour came on earth, for us his life he gave, to save us from eternal death,
and to raise us from
the grave, to raise us from the grave, and to raise us from the grave. Sing, sing all earth, sing, sing all earth, eternal praises sing to our Redeemer, to our Redeemer and our heavenly King. Softly the night is sleeping on Bethlehem's peaceful hill. Silent the shepherds watching, their gentle flocks are still. But hark, the wondrous music falls from the opening sky. Valley and cliff re-echo, glory to God on high. Glory to God, it rings again. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men. Come with the gladsome shepherds, quick hastening from the fold. Come with the wise men bringing unto him poor and lowly, all round the cradle throng. Come with your hearts of sunshine, and sing the angel's song. Glory to God, tell out again, peace on the earth, goodwill to men. Wave ye the wreath unfading, the fir tree and the pine, green from the snows of winter to deck the holy shrine. Bring ye the happy children, for this is Christmas morn. Jesus the sinless infant, Jesus the Lord is born. Glory to God again, peace on the earth, goodwill to men.
Well, Christmas, of course, was, as everywhere, a time for great rejoicing and celebrations. And, they did their best down this way. They didn't go short. Lots of lovely carols and Christmas songs, and Christmas was pretty well kept up for 12 nights, I think, down here. Best part of, anyway. They'd been singing right the way through Christmas evening. Of course, they'd start soon after tea on the carols, and then we gradually got away from the sacred songs and slowly, very easily, moved on to something a little bit more fiery. But they wouldn't. Old Grandad, when he was alive, he was pretty fussy. There was bags of beer, always plenty of beer, but he wouldn't allow any spirits on the table at 9:30. Because don't forget, the parties went on to about 3, 9:30. But that was one of his rules, never have any spirits on the table at 9:30. And likewise, he would never, until the store of sacred songs or carols had been exhausted, he wouldn't allow any other songs to be sung. And even then, he wouldn't be any of the very funny ones until later on towards supper.
The trees all are bare, not a leaf to be seen, and the meadows their beauty have lost. Now winter has come, and 'tis cold for man and beast, and the streams they are, all fast bound down with frost. 'Twas down in the farmyard where the oxen feed on straw, and they send forth their breath like the steam. Sweet Betsy, the milkmaid, now quickly she must go, for flakes of ice she finds, a-floating on her cream. 'Tis now all the small birds to the barn door fly for food, and gently they rest on the spray. Down the plantation the hares do search for food, and lift their footsteps sure, for fear they should betray. Now Christmas is come, and our song is almost done, for we soon shall have the turn of the year. So fill up your glasses and let your health go round, for I wish you all, a joyful New Year.
Round about 1:30, we used to shut down for supper. All get round the table in the front room, just about 18 or 20 people, just, you know, in a small room, smaller than this, you'd be just about, the tables put together. And there'd be plenty of food, of course. That's the object of Christmas, or one of the objects of Christmas, of course. And plenty of cold beef, a big round of cold beef. But the favourite, my favourite, and a lot of other people shared my opinion, was a damn great rabbit pie. It had about 4 rabbits in, allowed to get been cooked, beautiful golden crust on the top. And if Granny hadn't got a pie dish big enough, she'd make 2. And then that was all set in with flank of bacon all cooked, and all set in a beautiful jelly with hard-boiled eggs in. That was absolutely lovely. Bone rabbit pie. I wish you could get them now. You can't. You see, the rabbits are all gone now since myxomatosis. But then they'd all get round a plate for them. There was everything else that went with it, vegetables, a cold meal. So then when Grandad up there at the table, when everybody got something to eat, he'd sit down his own, and he'd cut off first mouthful. Before he put in his mouth, he'd start singing, "Oh, don't you remember a long time ago?" And then everybody joined in. Those that hadn't got a mouthful. It was a very tricky thing. It sort of, nobody arranged this, but it sort of worked itself out, and the song went backwards and forwards across the table, a bit like a ping pong ball, you know. And so that the leads on that side are just working back a bit of cold beef, while these sang the song, and they had to work it back in time to take the second line, and then they all had to be clear to join in the chorus at the end. And this went on and was sung all the way through. I think it was a good thing, really. It only got 3 verses, because we could finish the rest of our supper in peace. But they never missed. Always the babes in the wood during supper on Christmas night, or strictly speaking, on Boxing morning.
Oh, don't you remember a long time ago, those 2 little babies, their names I don't know, they strayed away one bright summer's day. Those 2 little babies got lost on their way. Pretty babes in the wood, pretty babes in the wood. Oh, don't you remember those babes in the wood? Now the day being gone, and the night coming on, those 2 little babies sat under a stone. They sobbed and they sighed, they sat there and cried. Those 2 little babies, they laid down and died. Pretty babes in the wood, pretty babes in the wood. Oh, don't you remember those babes in the wood? Now the robins so red, how swiftly they sped. They put out their wide wings and over them spread. And all the day long on the branches they throng. They sweetly did whistle, and this was their song. Pretty babes in the wood, pretty babes in the wood. Oh, don't you remember those babes in the wood?
Babes in the Wood, of course, that's a very a special connection. Was never sung any other time but during supper on Christmas night. I remember this very well because it went on all through my childhood and carried on, I think, up to about 1941 or 2. It was about the last time we did it at Uncle John's house.
The battle it was over, and the stars did brightly shine. The moon shone o'er the dying and the dead, and not a sound was heard, save the scream of some wild bird, as it fluttered round the dying soldier's head. And on that spot there lay one who had nobly fought that day. His comrade true to him was standing near, and he with an anguished sigh to his comrades gently cried, and with his hand he wiped away a tear. Then he whispered goodbye to his comrade so dear, his head upon his knapsack gently laid. If you live to get home, you can tell them I am gone. I'm lying in a British soldier's grave. Oh, don't you remember that dear old oak tree? With my knife I cut my name out on the bark, and early in the morn I have reaped the golden corn, and listened to the warbling of the lark. That dear old shady spot, it will never be forgot, for it was there I used to meet the girl I love. Tell her not to cry, for I'll meet her by and by, in a bright and a better land above. Then he whispered goodbye to his comrade so dear, his head upon his knapsack gently laid. If you live to get home, you can tell them I am gone. I'm lying in a British soldier's grave. Tell my aged mother that she's not to weep for me, for in the battle I took a noble part. Break it gently to her, all the news, my comrade dear. I feel that it will almost break her heart. Tell my sister too, I have kept the gift so dear, in parting which she fondly gave to me. Although I still possess it, I have stained with my life's blood this dear parting gift to me. Then he whispered goodbye to his comrade so dear, his head upon his knapsack gently laid. If you live to get home, you can tell them I am gone. I'm lying in a British soldier's grave. I feel that I am dying and my breath is going fast. Just raise me up once more that I might see the moon that gave us light, and the watchfires burning bright, and my comrades as happy as can be. There now, goodbye, he cried. He then fell back and died, beloved by all so noble and so brave. and early next day he beneath the turf did lay, in a rude but a British soldier's grave. Then he whispered goodbye to his comrade so dear, his head upon his knapsack gently laid. If you live to get home, you can tell them I am gone. I'm lying in a British soldier's grave.
Well, that was the dying soldier, and they used to sing that always. Grandad and Dad later on used to sing that after the mummers' play. At the conclusion of the mummers' play, they used to take round the village at Christmas time. They used to sing this song. And the last time the mummers were played in Rottingdean was 1896. Well, Christmas, of course, talks for itself, really. Christmas and New Year are celebrated, obviously, everywhere. But after that was over and it settled down into, after the turn of the year, you'd settle down and then they get back to work again, and things seemed a bit flat for a bit. But then, usually, right in that dead of the year, they used to have the harvest supper. Probably in the dark old days of February, about a time like that. And that they'd put trestle tables up in the home barn, and plenty of food. God Lord, those things would be laden with beef and ham and goodness knows what. Everything you can think of. Good old solid food, and plenty of beer and plenty of spirits too. All the songs you can imagine. And that was a good old night. That was to celebrate the successful completion of the farming year. It was a dead time of year, and they thought there was a very good time to celebrate. Say, right, well, that's it. We got our plans made for next year. Last year's all done. The wheat's all stacked up, and or in the barns, or sold, and everything else. Everything's all right. So we'll just sit down, have a little celebration before we spit on our hands and roll up our sleeves and start for another year.
'Twas of a brisk young ploughboy, come listen to this refrain, and join with me in chorus as sing the ploughboy's praise. My song is of the ploughboy's praise,
and unto you I'll relate the same.
He whistles, sings, and drives his plough, the brave ploughboy. So early in the morning the ploughboy he is seen, all hastening to his stable, his horses for to clean. Their manes and tails he does comb straight,
with chaff and corn he does them bait,
and he'll endeavour to plough straight, the brave ploughboy. When he goes out in the morning to harrow, plough or sow, and with a gentle cast, my boys, he'll give his corn a throw. All this I'll have you understand
is just to fill the reaper's hand.
Likewise I'll have you understand it comes from the ploughboy. Now seed time being over, the fields look fresh and gay. There's merry lads to mow the grass, while damsels make the hay. The small birds sing on every tree,
the cuckoo joins sweet harmony.
All welcome here, as you may see, the brave ploughboy. Then haying being over, and harvest does draw near, our master he does welcome us with plenty of beef and beer. We all sit round to drink our beer,
while peace and plenty fills the year.
And we'll be merry while we are here, and drink to the ploughboy. Now harvest being over, we start the plough once more. Our master has invited us, unlocks his cellar door. With cake and ale we have our fill,
because we've done our work so well.
and there's no one can despise the skill of the brave Ploughboy.
They had all sorts of games they used to play, but one favourite game at harvest supper was what they called turn the cup over. There was a chairman, self-appointed chairman, I suppose he would be. We'd sit at the head of the company with a big old bucket of beer, and they used to drink out of horn cups pretty much, the sort they used to take into the harvest field. And as each man in turn came up to him, he would hand him a felt hat, a deep crown hat with a wide brim. And he had to hold the hat with the crown uppermost. The chairman would fill up the horn cup with beer and place it on the top. And then at a given signal, the object was for the man holding the hat to raise it up, cup and all, so he could drink the beer down while the company started to sing this little song, or chorus. I've been to London, boys, I've been to Dover, I've been a-travelling, boys, all the world over, over and over, over and over, drink up your liquor and turn the cup over. Now, when he drunk the beer, he had to toss the cup up in the air, twist the hat over quick and catch it as it come down. If he did this successfully while they were singing the chorus, then they used to repeat the last two lines of the chorus with a slight variation, like this. Over and over, over and over, the liquor's drinked up and the cup is turned over. Now, if he didn't do it, if he either failed to drink the beer or dropped the cup or whatever, he had to do it again. That was his forfeit. And that led to all sorts of complications, of course, you see, because the more beer he had, the less likely he was to do it. And so he had to keep on trying until perhaps the chairman would use his discretion and say, all right, Jack, off you go, let's come on and call the next man up. And that's the way they used to enjoy themselves.
My father had an acre of land, hey-ho, sing ivy. My father had an acre of land with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He ploughed it with a team of rats, hey-ho, sing ivy. He ploughed it with a team of rats with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He sowed it with a pepper box, hey-ho, sing ivy. He sowed it with a pepper box with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He aired it with a small tooth comb, hey-ho, sing ivy. He aired it with a small tooth comb with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He rolled it with a rolling pin, hey-ho, sing ivy. He rolled it with a rolling pin with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He reaped it with the blade of his knife, hey-ho, sing ivy. He reaped it with the blade of his knife with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He wheeled it home in a wheelbarrow, hey-ho, sing ivy. He wheeled it home in a wheelbarrow with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He thrashed it with a hazel twig, hey-ho, sing ivy. He thrashed it with a hazel twig with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He wimmed it on the tail of his shirt, hey-ho, sing ivy. He wimmed it on the tail of his shirt with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He measured it up with a walnut shell, hey-ho, sing ivy. He measured it up with a walnut shell with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He sent it to market on Hedgehog's back, hey-ho, sing ivy. He sent it to market on Hedgehog's back with a bunch of green holly and ivy. He sold the lot for 18 pence, hey-ho, sing ivy. He sold the lot for 1 and 6 with a bunch of green holly and ivy. And now the poor old man is dead, hey-ho, sing ivy. And now the poor old man is dead with a bunch of green holly and ivy. We buried him with his team of rats, hey-ho, sing ivy. And all his tools lay by his side with a bunch of green holly and ivy.
Jolly good song and jolly well sung, and jolly good company every one, and if you can beat it you're welcome to try, but always remember the singer is dry. Give the old bounder some beer, he's had some, well give the old bounder some more. Half a pint of Burton won't hurtin', I'm certain. No, half a pint of Burton won't hurtin', I'm sure. That was an old chorus we used to sing between the songs. Nearly every time, and then late in the evening, everybody used to join in that, in between the songs. And soup. How you say soup? No, we used to go to the cups. Come, old jolly ploughmen, and help me to sing. I will sing in the praise of you all. If a man he don't labour, how can he get bread? I will sing and make merry with all. It was of two young brethren born. It was of two young brethren born. One he was a shepherd and a tender of sheep. The other a planter of corn. We will rile it, we will tile it, through mud and through clay. We will plough it up deeper and low. Then after comes the seedsman, his corn for to sow, and the harrows to rake it in rows. There is April, there is May, there is June and July. What a pleasure it is for to see the corn grow. In August we will reap it, we will cut sheaf and bind it, and go down with our scythes for to mow. And after we have reaped it off every sheaf, and have gathered up every year, with a drop of good beer, boys, and our hearts full of cheer, we will wish them another good year. Our barns they are full, our fields they are clear. Good health to our master and friends. We will make no more to do, but we will plough and we'll sow, and provide for the very next year. I used to particularly like to hear Dad and Uncle John sing this together. It seemed so right for them to do so, because they were in fact two brethren, and when they had been two young brethren, it was another fact that one was a shepherd and a tender of sheep. That was Uncle John. He went on to become head shepherd on the farm, and Jim, of course, being a carter, did his turn at seed time, and he was a planter of corn. He went on to become bailiff on the farm. But it always seemed to me that they sang it with a bit of significance. They used to see their eyes used to catch in mid-song, and you seemed to feel a big feeling of affinity between them. It meant a lot to them as well, I think. The sun has gone down and the sky it looks red. Down on my soft pillow where I lay my head. When I open my eyes for to see the stars shine, then the thoughts of my true love run into my mind. The sap has gone down and the leaves they do fall, to hedging and ditching
our farmers they'll call. We will trim up their hedges, we will cut down their wood, and the farmers they'll all say, our faggots run good. Now hedging being over, then sawing draws near, we will send for the sawyer, the woods for to clear. And after he has sawed them and tumbled them down, then there he will floor them all on the cold ground. When sawing is over, then seed time comes round. See our teams, they are already preparing the ground. Then the man with his seedlip, he'll scatter the corn, and the harrows, they will bury it to keep it from harm. Now seed time being over, then haying draws near. With our scythe, rake and pitchfork, those meadows to clear, we will cut down their grass, boys, and carry it away. We will first call it green grass, and then call it hay. When haying is over, then harvest draws near. We will send to our brewer to brew us strong beer. And in brewing strong beer, boys, we will cut down their corn, and we'll take it to the barn, boys, to keep it from harm. Now harvest being over, bad weather comes on. We will send for the thresher to thresh out our corn. His handstaff he will handle, his swingle he'll swing, till the very next harvest we'll all meet again. Now since we have brought this so cheerfully around, we will send for the jolly ploughman to plough up the ground. See the boy with his whip and the man to his plough. Here's a health to the jolly ploughman that ploughs up the ground.
Yeah, well, when my old dad wrote out the first songbook in 1936, he wrote a little introduction in the flyleaf, and this is the way it went. Here we have a little book. If through its pages you will look, you'll find the songs you ought to know, so have some beer and let her go. Of our old songs these are a few, and none of them are really new, but if you only know the tune, they'll beat the rhythm or the croon. Songs of our army or the sea are songs which most appeal to me, although I think I must avow I like a song about the plough. Odd choruses we know galore, 100, yes, and hundreds more, and if we fall into a lapse, they just come in to fill the gaps. There's one thing of the songs today, they come, but do not seem to stay. Like OK Toots and Black-Eyed Sue, they vanish like the century blues. But let the seasons come and go, and let it rain or let it snow. We'll shun all care and damn the weather, and we'll sing these songs when we're together.
Come right me down, ye powers above, the man that first created love.
For I've a diamond in my eye,
Where all my joys and comforts lie, where all my joys and comforts lie. I'll give you gold, I'll give fancy me, my dear, if you can fancy me, my dear. It's not your gold shall me entice to leave our pleasures to be a wife, for I don't mean or intend at all to be at any young man's call, to be at any young man's call. Then go your way, you scornful dame, since you've proved false, I will prove the same. For I don't care, but I shall find some other fair maid to my mind, some other fair maid to my mind. Oh, stay, young man, don't be in haste. You seem afraid your time you'll waste. Let reason rule your roving mind, and unto you I will prove kind, and unto you I will prove kind. So to church they went that very next day, and were married by asking, as I've heard say. So now that girl, she is his wife. She will prove his comforts day and night. She will prove his comforts day and night. So now his trouble and sorrow is past, his joy and comfort has come at last. That girl to him always said nay. She will prove his comfort night and day. She will prove his comforts night and